order the USD 489 school board meeting for Monday, April 24th, 2023. I want to welcome everyone that is here watching the board meeting tonight. The board docs agenda was published on Friday, put out to the public. There has been a few changes to the agenda since then, but it was published on Friday. With that, so at this point, I would like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, vote yes.
Yes.
All opposed, vote no. 7-0. I'd like to take just a moment to go over the mission of USD 49 at the start of the meeting tonight, is to provide a quality learning experience for every student in every classroom every day. To support the mission of the district, the USD 49 Board of Education includes supporting a vision that encompasses high student achievement, highly effective staff, effective and positive communications, effective management of resources. Also vital to keeping focus on the district mission and vision are that the USD 489 Board of Education supports the district core values of being a champion for all kids, bringing your best every day, carrying the banner for your school and district, and selling and creating possibilities and opportunities for students for their futures. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to remove 2.4 personal transactions.
Okay. Board Clerk, Jess, 2.4, I would recommend moving that down to 7.2.
With that change, Mr. President, then I would move to accept the consent agenda.
Have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as changed. Any discussion? All in favor, vote yes. Yes. All opposed, vote no. Consent agenda is approved. Okay, 3.1, Achievement of Excellent Recognition. Ron?
Okay. Yes, come on up, just stand up here briefly. I'll say a few things before. Yeah, just come right on up here. Yeah, so everyone can see. We have a smattering of some of our music educators. There's a few more that weren't able to be with us this evening, but this is a nice honor. Our USD 489 music educators have been selected and have been honored with the Best Communities for Music Education designation for its outstanding commitment to music education. Now in its 24th year, the Best Communities for Music Education designation is awarded to school districts that demonstrate outstanding achievements in their efforts to provide music access and education to all students. To get this honor, they look at things such as funding, graduation requirements, music class participation, instructional time, facilities, support for the music program, and probably a few other things. To get this award, these music educators, including some that are not here, all contributed to putting together I guess, a pretty good application. So we would just like to take this time to recognize this is quite an honor and very neat for our district to be represented with such a first-class group and what they do daily for our kids for music education. We have, this is just personal, I feel like we're making great strides. We've got a great group here and Jones decided to jump ship. famous, she may never. But we just really appreciate what you guys do for our kids, just the things that make it such an outstanding, no matter what area you're doing. So just thanks for everything. And Alex, do you want to be the lead spokesman?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Picture.
First year here. So back in November, I was aware of my time previously in that state of North that there's an organization called the National Association of Music Merchants. They recognize school districts to provide equitable access to music education across band, orchestra, vocal, and general music, as well as outside community opportunities. Now, I only thought we were adequate to apply to this recognition not because of necessarily what we do within the school district in our community, although that is a huge factor because where do musicians come from? Well, they come from our classrooms, multiple years down the road. So, but if you know, we have Oregon State University, who's very active with community concerts, performances, educational outreach, the Day Symphony too, especially around Halloween for our Halloween concerts too. I mean, that's a huge concert where we get tons of kids, K through even 8th grade too. I've had some 8th grade kids come and they look like they're supposed to be in 4th grade, but still, it's a wonderful opportunity to provide music access to all across the city of Hayes too. But also, we have wonderful community members, also school members of ours who play like in small groups with Fix Repair. They play for Agella sometimes too. So it's a really awesome situation. And you know, some of you were here probably before my time, but some of you recognize that it wasn't always this way in Hayes, and we really made a big change towards a really positive community outlook for arts in our city. So again, thank you so much for recognition. We like being here, and we like teaching your kids. So it's fun.
Anyone else?
I think
Joan?
We just appreciate working in this community and the support we get. I brag about our administrators because I've worked with almost all of you, but they're so supportive, and that is what I tell everybody. What I've taught in 5 different states over my 45 years, but this district is one of the very best as far as supporting financially, but also emotionally and every way that they can, the parents, the administration, to make this program work. It wouldn't work without you, and you, and you. So we thank you.
Mr. Wilson, can we introduce them?
Oh, yeah, introduce yourself.
Where they teach?
I know.
I don't know.
This is the view we get when they're conducting.
Alex Crowley, Director of Band, Hayes Middle School.
I'm Jessica Hakona. I teach at the middle school choir, and then I'm at Lincoln 3-5 this year.
Jolene Cunningham, and I teach at Roosevelt.
I'm Joan Kroll, and I do high school orchestra, middle school orchestra, and some general music at O'Laughlin.
Gloria Blackwell, Wilson K5. Jenna Brubaker, and I'm at O'Laughlin and K2 Lincoln.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. We're buddies. You are.
Was he a senior?
Okay, I'm done.
Okay.
I thought I had another one.
We have 4.1, the public comment. Let me go over the guidelines real quick. The public forum, the board requests that all members of the public respect the rules outlined below so that everyone that wants an opportunity to provide input to the board will be given the chance. The speakers are asked to start with stating their name and address where they reside. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes to make their presentations. Speakers are asked to make only points that have not been made previously. Except to ask clarifying questions, the board members shall not interact with speakers at the open forum. The board asks that all members of the public respect these rules so that everyone that wants an opportunity to provide input has that opportunity. Do I have anyone in the audience tonight that would like to speak to the board and give us some input? If not, hearing none, we will move right down to our presentation. Ron?
Yeah, tonight we have Roosevelt fifth grade teachers. I'll let them introduce themselves, but they are going to talk a little bit about their Ameritown project that they have been doing for the last few years. I had the opportunity to go last year, and it's an amazing project. It's really a neat thing for our kids, and they put me in charge of building birdhouses with kids last year. I did not get an invite back, so.
I mean, there's room if you want to.
So, take it away.
I'm Caitlin Schmidt. This is my 6th year teaching for the district.
I'm Erica Holloway. This is my 5th year. 4th year.
Brittany Baldwin.
Time
This is
flies.
my 4th year and 5th grade, and then I was in tech teaching for 7 years, so.
We have some other special guests. Go ahead.
I'm Jacob Liker, and I'm in 6th grade.
I'm Kellen Morris, and I'm in 6th grade at HMS.
Okay, so Young Ameritown is something that our 5th graders have got to do. It's definitely becoming a tradition. Our field trip is located in Lenora, Kansas, and I joke with everybody that when we arrive, we doubled their population. It's a very small town. This is our 3rd year physically attending. It would be our 4th if it wasn't for COVID. Young Ameritown of Kansas is sponsored by Next Generation Roundup for Youth. It's actually stationed out of Colorado. Their central hub is Denver. So it's super exciting that we have the opportunity in Kansas. And of course, a huge thank you to Astra Bank's local donation. If it wasn't for their donation, there's no way that we would be able to do this project-based learning field trip every year. It's pretty financially hefty for our students to go. So we're very appreciative that they have sponsored this for our 3rd year now. So this is what the high school looks like. It is the former Lenora High School, and it has since been turned into Ameritown.
There are a bunch of shops, as you can see. They do a really great job. It's actually the 2nd story of the high school. So you walk in and then you go up the stairs and you are completely immersed in Ameritown. They have a bank, a container shop, energy resources, medical center, newspaper shop, radio station, sign and print shop, snack shop, TV station, and town hall. And under all of those shops, every shop has a manager of some sort and an accountant. And then there's just different jobs that go with the normal everyday jobs that we do. So you can see them all there listed.
A huge component to Ameritown is financial literacy. So just making sure that we're bringing what we're teaching them into real life. How are they going to apply these skills when they become adults? We do a lot with basic economics. The students have their own checking account. They have a check register. They have debit cards. They learn how to write checks, balance checkbooks. They use how to use the debit card, or learn how to use the debit card, sorry. We talk a lot about budgeting and saving. We also talk about when you get to Ameritown, it's important that you're spending your paycheck so that you're helping your economy. They also have an opportunity for philanthropy, so they are able to donate back to one of like 3, I'm trying to think of like philanthropy options, I guess. So like Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts of America, things like that. And then Ameritown will actually take their money and donate it to those locations. So that's been a lot of fun to see how much they're able to raise.
We always joke at parent-teacher conferences, we turn their 5th graders into miniature adults. So we taught these 2 among the 60 students last year how to write checks, which is huge for a 5th grader. There's also the government aspect. You can't have a community without a government. So our students competed in a primary and in a general election. Students put their name in the hat, and we had a mayor and a judge that through their own campaign created a speech and then ran their campaign. We also talk about the importance of voting and why they should vote when they grow up. We talk about other countries. It's against the law if they don't show up to vote, so really stressing the importance of that. And then our 5th graders also create a law for Ameritown. So these are just some photos from previous years. You can see we have the actual official Ellis County voting resources. So Bobby Dreiling lets us use the voting ballot protectors, and then we put them into the blue box, and they stay safe until we count them. And we also have the offices. Last year, she even let our students have the little stickers that said, "I voted in Ellis County," so pretty cool.
We also do real-life job interviews. We have community members. Ron and Shannon have come in the past. Our principal comes and helps with this. So we actually just are starting to complete this week. For the skills assessment, we talk about things that they're good at, and there's an actual one-page assessment where they circle all the things that apply to them, count those up, and then they go and they match the letter to different types of jobs. So they just completed that today, and they are working on their job applications where they fill out all of their like demographic information, what things that they do to help show that they have responsibility, their hobbies, and then they pick their top 6 jobs, and we stress to them, we do our absolute best to get you one of those 6 jobs, and we're pretty good at that. There's occasionally that somebody might have to step into a role that they didn't think that they wanted, and they end up doing amazing at it. We talk about how in life sometimes you get hired to do a position that you're not too sure about, you get your feet wet, and you end up really loving it. I joke with them, I student taught in 1st grade, and so I thought 1st grade was going to be my jam, and a 5th grade position was what was open, and I could not imagine doing any other grade. I get to hang out with cool 5th graders, now 6th graders. Their sass, their sarcasm, it's amazing. So I always like to say that back to myself, and no matter what position they get on Ameritown Day, they love it. And then as you can see in the pictures are those interviews where they just come in, have an interview, talk about themselves, their interests, things like that. They're really nervous going in, but then once they sit down, you guys do a great job talking to them and just getting them through it. It's great. It's a good time.
And our interviews will actually be this Thursday, so super exciting. Community support, like I said, we use Bobby Dreiling in her county clerk's office. She has been gracious over the years in letting us use all of her resources. Astra Bank helps us with the donation, as well as Sue and Darren O'Connor. They were in the interviews and they come with us every year. They always really enjoy it. We had our mayor, Mason Reuter, present with our kids last year, and then he came back again this year. So that is exciting that our kids get to see the government role play out. And then there's also various other community members. There's too many to mention all of them, but it would not be possible without their support. Each year we have community members travel with us to Lenora, and they help run each of the shops. So our first year we had parents, and then we realized parents are great, but community members really take it that extra step when we can have somebody who works at our local radio stations come and help our students run the local radio station there. It makes a huge impact, so.
Okay, so additional prep work, we have an entire curriculum that goes with Ameritown. We have a student booklet. The students learn 59 different vocabulary terms. That's probably their least favorite part, but it's beneficial to them when they're in the middle of the day, because then they understand the terms that are being used. Here's just an example of our student workbook. We go through 27 different lessons. We take a pre-test and a post-test just to see how much growth they've had throughout this whole process. During the interview times this week, they'll be creating postcards, which go into postcard contests, and then the mayor and the judge present the winners on the day of. We do lots of different things, like we have a design a shoe activity, which talks about free enterprise. We take risk assessments because they invest $1 of their Ameritown money into whether they are a low risk, medium risk, or high risk taker. What else? Oh, we spend a lot of time on checkbooks, so they get to design their own checkbook. They have a checkbook register. We even start before we go. We put in their deposit, and we get them all set up and ready to go for the day. That way when they get there, they're set up for success.
The day before is a very big day. It's full Ameritown prep, right, boys? It is completely devoted to Ameritown. So the very first thing that we do, and they're super excited, they get to find out their jobs. They have no idea up until this point, so they wait 2-3 weeks to find out what they interviewed for and what they got. And then after that, the business staff meetings occur. They get to create a logo and a slogan for their advertising, which will then be used in our newspapers, which we have here. So they actually get to make a newspaper, which we'll talk about, and then you can see their logos that they came up with. And then their advertisements go on the TV station report. It goes through the radio station throughout the day, different things like that. They get a basic job training to review their responsibilities. The payroll, the accountant, prepares all the employee checks. That way they get that paycheck right when they get there and they can go deposit it right away. They preview an agenda for the day at Ameritown because we can talk, but until they see that agenda, it's not quite real. The mayor creates their opening ceremony speech as well. They prep their checkbook register and deposit slips for a savings account and paycheck. They review their checkbook practice because we got to be really good at that and making sure we're keeping up with our check register throughout the day. We play a banking Jeopardy game just to review those words that we've been working on. We've been doing those 59 words since about January, and we want to keep those fresh for that day. And it's just review all day long.
And then our day of, and this is, we're gonna pass the baton to our students and we're gonna let them talk about their experience last year.
I'm Jacob Liker and I was mayor at Ameritown. As mayor, my job was to write certificates for the businesses and to make sure the town was running great. I encourage other schools to do this. I encourage other schools to do Ameritown because it helps kids learn about life.
I am Kellen Fitzmaurice, and I was a DJ at the radio station. My job was to do advertisements, play song requests, and show slogans and advertisements. And when I wasn't doing my job, we had to deposit money and take out money of our account, and we had to keep track of our bills and all of that stuff. And well, I did like working my job better. And it was a really pleasant experience, but the main thing that I learned is being an adult is hard.
No, there's too many people. Cookies are a very big deal in our snack shop. You see a picture there, the red picture. Cookies and then different pops. The cookies, that is a hot commodity. And then sometimes, yeah, the lines are too long. They don't have enough break time, I guess.
So looking at some of our photos, the bottom right is our police officer. One of our students got caught running, which resulted in a fine. The snack shop in the red was always a very busy place to be. The next photo is our judge, just handed out community service for another student who broke a law. And he unfortunately ran out of money, so he was stuck vacuuming the town hall because he could not pay for his fine. Our mayor was busy at work. This was from a couple years ago. Top left is a student showing off one of the advertisements that she created in the graphic design. And then the next photo is our, what was he called, Ron? Your nail gun?
Nail gun.
He worked with Ron last year and he was
amazing.
Very good job.
Amazing.
So our students build birdhouses, and then at the end of the day they get to give a birdhouse. Usually they go to the teachers, and we have a nice collection of birdhouses that we get to look back on. But it's neat that the kids get to build it and decorate it and then present it at the end of the time. And then that center photo is our mayor and our judge getting sworn in the opening ceremony. Yeah, in the opening ceremony with the police officers. And then we have our medical staff. Just some of the many photos. And then when we get back, the day after is just as busy as the day before. We review their personal check register and we match it to their bank statements, as most adults do every single month. They ensure that they were effective throughout their day. They also grade themselves on a rubric. How well did they use their check register and so on. The businesses get to meet and they determine if their business had a profit or if they lost money, and then they evaluate their choices that they made yesterday to decide what they did well and what they could do better. They do that post-test that we've talked about. We compare it to the pre-test to track their growth. We create thank you cards for all of our community members because it would not be what it is without them. And then students will review their investment and they get to see how much money they made. off of their dollar contribution. And then there's Employee of the Day awards that are selected by each town manager. So it's a huge curriculum. We've been working on this since January, and we will finally get to see it all pay off May 10th. So that's Ameritown. We can talk about Ameritown for days and days and days, but we really enjoy it.
I kind of have one thing before what's neat about this is, yes, it's a great experience, but this isn't your typical field trip where teachers just plan an activity for kids to get on a bus and go somewhere and do something. This requires a tremendous amount of work, and these ladies, I'm telling you, they're underselling the amount of work that they put into this. And it's really, when I think about our mission statement, to provide a quality learning experience for every student, every day. That's exactly what they do. They put in the time. It's a great quality learning experience for every kid, no matter what they're doing, whether they're building birdhouses or being the mayor or being in charge of the snack shop, or, you know, and even if you don't get cookies, because it's always, the line's too long, it's a great experience. So hats off to our teachers for doing this.
Yeah, I want to thank you because I know that it's a lot of work to get the organization and everything, and it'd be easier to just stay in your little classroom but to take that many kids out and have a learning experience like that is so valuable. And I'm glad to see all the schools are doing different things, but a lot of, real life learning, because I had the opportunity to go to the middle school and go to Reality U, which is some of the similar type things, and they do that at the high school, also at 10th grade, and I am sure it's a motivator for kids too, because I get to go do things, and so thank you.
Best wishes for the rest of your school year.
Thank you.
Okay, we're down to 6.1, Superintendent's Report. Ron?
Okay. Some things I just want to run through and talk a little bit bond, but we're just really going to talk about Roosevelt. Of course, bids have been out. We've had our pre-bid meeting with contractors. Tomorrow is just the first day where we'll open bids and start to see where we're at. And then we'll do some reviewing with Navholz. That's coming up here first week in May. For the board purposes, kind of just want to try and get on your radar that tentatively we're targeting May 8th. I believe that's a Monday. For just a special board meeting. I would like to do it at 7:30 a.m. That's not set in stone, but if I could just get that on your calendars. It's a very short meeting. It's just going to require some approvals of our bids. So once we got that approved, we can get contracts out and we can get rolling towards meeting some of our target dates.
That would be the only thing on the agenda that morning if we can get it firmed up.
Yeah. We are planning a small groundbreaking ceremony at Roosevelt on last day of school at noon, right after school gets out. We're going to keep this one. This is just kind of maybe a preview to, we're going to do a bigger one for the high school groundbreaking, but always want to invite all board members for the May 18th groundbreaking. And then we just have some meetings, and our goal, target is that construction will begin on May 29th. So that's where we're headed with the
That groundbreaking ceremony was for which property?
Roosevelt.
Roosevelt. Only, well, the high school is still, it will come later this summer. And that'll be a little bigger deal. Have a little more pomp and circumstances with the high school. This one, just, I guess, a little test run. Just also get on your calendars, Hayes High School graduation, May 14th, Gross Memorial Coliseum, 1:30. Of course, all board members are always invited. If you can't attend or won't be able to make it, just make sure you let Jess know so we can plan accordingly. Also, we're also planning just as we get some of these end of the year activities, our district retirement breakfast is planned for May 19th. That's the day after the last day of school. We hold that at the Strand downtown. and it starts at 7:45, just a way for us to recognize our retirees before we send them on their way. Just a quick legislative update. I've included in the agenda, I think it's important as the legislature has reconvened starting this week. We'll have about 2 weeks here to wrap everything up. A lot of things still up in the air, as we talked about last meeting. There were some bills that, I guess in a sense are still maybe could be holding some finagling, last minute finagling. If you remember, Senate Bill 83 was approved in the House, but then failed in the Senate, and then they went home for the session, so nothing was really resolved. Senate Bill 13, that one's kind of the interesting bill, because that's the bill that has not had any action on it, but it's still out there. There's some possibilities that we could see that come back to play. I think the one thing that's probably scary is that there's some games being played with funding, although and that's the big piece, is educational funding has not been approved. They're looking at, and with the Gannon lawsuit, it was always that the cost of living increase would be added. That was part of the Gannon lawsuit. Now there's some games being played saying they're going to keep our base at 4,846, and we'll just add that on and going from there. So this is a huge deal. We're hopeful that things will stay the way they have been. Lots of different things being done throughout those bills. As I won't go through all of those, but I think also just some of the others in Senate Bill 83, although it did fail, there's always the possibility that that could be tweaked and maybe combined and pushed back together. But some of those things and that bill specifically are not good for public education. And once again, we're just continually fighting off people who really are challenging public education and the way we do things. And it's discouraging. It's really discouraging. So I want to make sure, as board members, you're aware. We're still, special ed sped funding is still hanging out there. I think if you've been paying attention, estimates came in that the state once again has very flush. I don't know, what were the estimates actually?
I don't know what the estimates were, but the end budget has $4.5 billion that's on account of this. Will just be extra in the budget that's not being spent at the end of this year.
Yeah. 172 million, right?
Well, 109 million fully funded sped. Okay. The first step for funding sped that's been asked for is 72 million.
So, once again, it's pretty easy. Whatever we can do to help that cause, we appreciate it. Also, we included the Purple Wave sales results in your board packet. Also, just want to give a shout out. Who's someone who spends a lot of time with us as a school board at these meetings. Christina Janney earned 2 first place for some articles that she wrote. None of them were on the school board or school. I think that's a good thing. And also, she was, this is still impressive, she was placed 2nd in Journalist of the Year. So, congratulations.
Yeah, Ron, I was just following the legislature a little bit today, and I believe I have this right, that the governor vetoed the flat tax, which was kind of, she had related that was kind of the experiment that would be very similar to when Brownback a few years ago, and that hurt education so terribly for so many years, and we're still trying to recover for that. So I know there's always a need to look at taxes, but sometimes it's at the risk of almost gutting education on that. So I was glad to see that today. And just another, what they do this week or the next few days is so important to public education. I would say Senator Bellinger Representative Walsinger, if you've got any doubts about public education and if they're not supporting us, get a hold of them.
And just echo that we are very thankful for Governor Kelly's support of public education. She's continued to support us and has really held that true. We hope if things should go wonky here in the last session, we feel like we might see some vetoes, and that's good to know that she has that ability.
Okay.
I have a question. We talked, or you mentioned that you were going to visit with Don Schreiber.
Yes, about school resource
Yeah.
officers? Yes.
You got next
Yeah,
meeting?
We're still moving forward with that. We're still kind of, once again, we're waiting in limbo a little bit. The legislature still has not fully funded the Safe and Secure Schools grant yet, but I did have a conversation with Dawn just last week, and we are still looking at getting bringing to you a school resource officer position here soon. Yeah, he feels like he has the ability possibly to staff it. We're still looking at funding pieces and how that can look. We did some work on another grant that just was sent in last week or just completed. And so that's not actually the Safe and Secure. That is what's called the COPS grant. It's a federal grant. And we completed our part to get that. So hopefully we can find out and get some funding there. So we are proceeding. Of course, at some point you will come forward with that.
Thank you.
Mr. Wilson, could you send the Purple Waves settlement statement like you did last month or last meeting?
Okay, I'll get it. Yeah, we can
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, 6.2 KSDE audit. Chris?
So spent a little bit of time talking about our KSDE audit. So as you know, we have a few different kinds of audits throughout the year. This one is provided or gone through KSDE, and so it's everything from school bus safety to student head count and free lunches to FTE. The primary piece of it that we'll talk about today is that FTE piece, because that's what goes into then the base state aid and the school funding. So some of the pieces that are published there in board docs, you can look through the first couple pages. I'm going to have you just flip all the way to the last page, because that's kind of where the rubber meets the road for us on the school funding side. So that first set of rows that you'll see is actually FY21, so school year 2021, 21, 22, and then this year 22, 23. As you can see, if you jump all the way to the right, our total head count is up this year, FY23, school year 22, 23. So it's up. We don't actually get funded off the head count, we get funded off the FTE, so you have to back up a little ways from there. But it's always good seeing that the head count is up. Some of the things that go into that head count are different weightings like free lunches, transportation, virtual, things like that. So good when head count is up, but what we really want to see is that FTE, or the full-time equivalencies, in that second table. So in that second table, you can see that our September 20th, 22 count is 3109. When we go to do the budget here, when we go to put together the budget document, as you know, we're working on the budget all year long, right? But as we put together the budget document, one of the things that we establish is our legal maximum, or what the general fund total resources available will be. What you do is you look back at the most recent year or the one prior. So this year, we're being funded off of 3,065.4 FTE. That's our base FTE, because that's year previous and it's bigger than in 21. So you can see next year, we'll be able to look at our September 20th of 22. So our base FTE will be 3109 before any of the weightings come in from there. So always good to see with the legislature going back and forth on what base state aid is going to be. Another thing that some districts have to fight is declining enrollment, and right now we are not having to fight that along with any of the other fights that might be out there. So that's a good one to avoid. what that means now for this year is our base state aid is established and our general max, our legal fund general max is established. At this point now, we go through the budget and make sure that there's nothing that we have to republish or anything. We would be getting additional funds beyond what we've published spending authority for. The one fund that we probably will end up republishing here in the next few meetings would be our professional development fund, and that's only because there's some the state has gone back and forth over the years whether they fund a portion of your professional development spending, and this year in the governor's budget there is some funding for that, so we'll be able to move some money around. We have expenditures right now, like in general fund for professional development. We'll move those into Fund 26, so we'll end up probably republishing that fund. Doesn't impact the levy or any taxes or anything like that. It's basically just moving money from one fund to the next to maximize our state aid. So, with that, I'm happy to answer any questions about the KSDE audit.
Again, I'm just thankful we're one of the few districts west of Salina that continues to grow. And with all of our head counts and different things like that.
And it's not in no small part to like our virtual program.
Right.
So like through our virtual program, you'll see some of those head counts, so the kids get counted in the head count, so they're raising the head count. But then the head count gets backed out, but then we still receive funding on the FTE side for the virtual work. So that's been big. Being able to provide different opportunities for different kids to meet their needs any given day also helps with our FTE and our funding too.
I was just going to say, I was at a superintendent's council a while ago, and I think don't quote me exactly on this number, but I think there was less than 20 school districts in the state of Kansas that actually grew last year. So it's just part of the, we're seeing a little bit of a population decline just because people aren't having as many kids,
right.
And also we're losing people out of state, and so to be a district that has some growth, that's a good thing.
So the city and the district can keep using the Grow Haze theme. Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
Any other questions for Chris? Okay, if not, action discussion item 7.1, new Hayes High School / middle school traffic circulation and 13th Street improvements.
Okay, I just thought I would share a little bit with the board where we're at as far as some of our circulation plan, as far as schools. Are you going to put that up? We have done quite a bit of work with MKEC out of Kansas City. They're our engineers, and they to develop this plan. Of course, it's not the thing that you have to understand is it's going to be a phenomenal thing, but it also creates a lot of sometimes headaches when you're putting. We have a campus that's going to be, I would say it's close to 70 acres of 2 school buildings, and there's going to be a lot of things going on in that one spot. It's going to be a great thing, but also it challenges your mind sometimes to figure out how we're going to get everything to maneuver. So a lot of thoughts being put into this. Just as we want to start over at the high school, very top there, you will see the circulation. Now, this is the one thing. The goal is to get traffic off of 13th Street and not allow stacking. If you know anything about what happens currently just with Hayes High, 13th Street for about 5 to 10 minutes is pretty backed up all the way, sometimes can go all the way almost back down to Vine for a short period of time, stacking. So the goal is, with adding increase another building, how can we remove all the stacking that occurs on Vine, and it kind of clogs up traffic for those who are maybe not delivering kids early in the morning. So the goal will be to get people off of 13th Street. So if you'll go clear up there to the right corner, That is where everyone who is dropping off a middle school kid or a high school kid will enter that driveway. Now, of course, sometimes, the first reaction is always, so if I'm going to drop off my middle schooler, I got to go all the way past it and then come back around. Yes, the idea is to get the traffic off of 13th Street. So stacking will occur inside and around. It's a fairly long stretch. We're hopeful that it'll move fairly fast. Once again, also remember that the middle school will be starting approximately about 20 minutes. We haven't set that in stone, but we're looking about a 20-minute earlier start for our middle school kids than our high school. So that should give ample time for our middle school parents to get through, drop everyone off, get back out, and then allow pretty much that high school traffic to start for about the next 20 minutes. So as they come down, they will travel all the way around, and as they come up into, I don't know if it's easier if we just get up here.
Yeah.
So
Go up.
you're going to come, everyone's going to come, they're going to come around. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, so then they're going to come around. As a middle school parent, you'll come in here and drop off your student. All students will come in here for drop off. Bus traffic will be in the back, just like it currently is for the high school. So buses who are delivering middle school kids will be in the back. And as a parent, you will then exit out onto 12th Street. Once again, we're not dictating the direction. You can go left on Canterbury, which of course that's probably a little bit of could be a little congested, or you can go, the majority of our traffic will turn right and head up Canterbury, or can make a left-hand turn back on the 13 with a light. As far as student parking, students will come in, the high school students will come in just the same way, except they will enter this lot here that high school will park, all high school students will park primarily here, where we also anticipate a lot of our high school students also parking over here, because how we anticipate this is with the locker rooms right here, that's just this sidewalk. A lot of our who are participating in athletics will come in, park, walk the sidewalk, leave bags or things in their lockers, in their locker room, and then enter the school that way. So we'll kind of be breaking up the high school parking, which is also kind of nice, not having all the cars in one spot. Of course, this area will be reserved specifically for our middle school, any visitors, things of that nature. We don't really have that many cars in our middle school lot. We'll also have staff parking back here, once again, for middle school staff. We talked about earlier, high school staff will park here, with primarily also being some visitor parking up in there. So just wanted to run through that circulation plan to make sure everyone understood exactly what we're thinking. And I know it does bring some questions about, the long trek, but it's just education, and there's a reason why we do it. It's to help the flow of traffic off of 13th, and I think it'll really help solve that. And if we've studied a lot of schools who are doing this, Mays is the district that has a middle school and a high school fairly close, just in proximity to how we're planning it. They have a very similar flow pattern around their campus that way. As far as 13th Street, we've worked with the city quite a bit, and our engineers have worked to come up with some solutions for, of course, we know that there is plans to widen 13th Street all the way from, I believe, Anthony all the way out to Commerce, and that plan is being put together by the city, and they have got a KDOT grant as well as some budget dollars allocated for that. From a school district perspective, some things that were important to us are these pedestrian islands, with, I guess he's calling them enhanced crosswalk crosswalk areas. So they will have like a median, I guess, for the lack of a better way to explain it. Students will walk halfway, be able to hop off onto a kind of a protected area, then assess where's the traffic, and then traverse the other half of the road. We'll have 2 of those at different points on 13th. There'll also be some connections of some sidewalks added with this project that will allow any kids who are walking to have some sidewalk access all the way up to the buildings. So, I don't know, any questions?
What's after school look like then? We want a reverse order or same flowing out?
After school, it will look like, and that's a good question. The thing is, yes. So when you come to pick up, it would be the exact same. So it's a one-way traffic, dropping off, picking up. Now, if it's not, and we're going to have signs. For about 30 minutes before school, till the start of school, this is the only way you can traverse. As a middle school parent, though, let's say your kid has an appointment, you need to pick them up. We're not expecting you at 10 a.m. to go all the way up here and drive all the way around. Traffic flow is not a problem at 10 a.m. You will be able to come in, traditional Golden Belt, or come in off 12th Street and pick up your middle school kid during those non-peak hours. Peak hours would probably be something like 7:30 to 8, 3 to 3:30.
So
maybe a little longer.
And the high school kids are going to run that loop out to 12th
Yes.
Street into?
It's the only way, and it's not necessarily, that is, if there's one flaw that I'd say, and we've talked a lot about this, we just understand, if you can see, this is a pretty significant pedestrian walkway. My only concern is, middle school kids are getting out 20 minutes prior, so of course they get 20 minutes, and then of course we have football practice going on, or track practice, we have a lot of kids. Well, the thing is, we just understand that we have a fairly, and this is called, it's like a raised, so it's not a speed bump, but it's a fairly significant. It's not something that you would be able to go very fast. You'll have to really slow down, but also this entire length of that parking lot is basically kind of a protected sidewalk. So we can hold a lot of kids on this, and then basically all they have to do is jump off and get across this area here. So we've really thought through safety and how to make sure we keep our kids safe, knowing that we will have some high school kids who might be coming around this way.
So
Yes.
financially, and thanks to the city partnership for what they're doing on 13th, I think that's really cool. So, but our portion that the bond is paying for is everything on our campus. Are we helping contribute financially for some of those walkways on 13th, or is that
Yes.
part of your
Right.
Yeah,
KDOT
so
grant?
Collins here.
I figured you came for a reason.
We'll have this all solved. Yes, we will, as a school district, we will be helping pay for, on 13th, some of these pedestrian walkways. I think we're also I haven't really talked a little bit about this, we're also putting in some right-hand turns, I believe here and here, so it will be an extra lane to get off and let traffic flow. So that will be our cost. I think there's also some cost that will be included for us for some striping in different areas, and also some signal modification things that are being done with the project. So I think that would be part. Now, of course, the widening of 13th, of course, we've had some conversation. There's an area directly in front of our school, that is part of the widening project. We're hopeful that with what the KDOT grant has contributed, as well as what the city and county have contributed, that we'll be able to hold that. If it doesn't, then we might have to contribute a little bit to the widening for approximately about 200 feet, 200 feet between that area. Maybe 100.
And as of right now, there's no additional stoplights or stop signs that are going to be on those
Just
Canterbury or
modification-
13th?
Just some modifications to the current signal, I believe, is what's being proposed. Of course, we haven't quite finalized all
Sure.
this. This is just kind of tentative, but we're fairly close to being able to, hone in on that. Paul, is there anything else that I missed? Said it incorrectly? No, I thought you did it.
But we're going to widen all the way to Karma, so
Yeah.
passing X and
Yeah.
out there.
From the intersection of Canterbury and 13, how far will the sidewalk go? Because right now, doesn't it stop right at the high school?
It goes through the...
Yes, so it's being added all the way.
The trail goes through the school.
Crosswalk.
Yeah, so this, you're saying right here, it
Somewhere
ends
there.
right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Ish.
being added all the way to the front drive, which is almost, I would say, okay, so this is the street that is on the other side of ECC, so it goes all the way, almost past ECC. Does that make sense?
Mr. Wilson, how does the high school busing, how does that work?
Oh, no, it'll happen in here, so the high school buses, of course, we've got those right-hand lanes, they'll come, they'll pull in. Any high school busing students, which we don't really have a lot of high school busing students, they'll come out the front doors and then traverse back up.
So with them starting 20 minutes before, so they'll be arrive at school about 45 minutes, 30 minutes before school, the high school bus kids? I mean, how are you going to do the transportation?
Well, we haven't quite finalized. I would anticipate that we would, it's not necessarily a huge issue for our high school students to arrive early. It is a little more difficult when it's middle school. So there's a very good chance that once they bring the middle school students, they'll go back out, come over and drop them off. I've also talked to Russ a little bit that there may be something where we might need to add another route just specifically for some high school situations. But we won't really know that until we kind of get closer to actually having that in place.
Well, when the middle school moves to that side of town, there'll be less kids able to walk, wouldn't there? Won't there be a lot more car traffic for those middle schoolers? I mean, because right now, considerable...
It's interesting, Ken, yes, there'll be probably could be more busing that are coming from, your northwest side of town that didn't have to bus before. However, you have to remember, we have a pretty good chunk of students who all of a sudden will be able to walk that were being bused. So our two communities that hold the largest are our northwest area of town as well as, just our eastern part. So it could be a little bit of a wash. So, yes, it's something we won't know specifically probably until we get closer to where that's. We'll have a fair
And Mr. Wilson, so I'm just looking at this, the tennis courts are now going to be relocated east of the football field, is that correct?
Yeah, they always were. Yeah, they're right, scroll up.
They're all down there.
But they're moved from where they're at now currently,
Yeah.
and those will just be demolished or?
No, those tennis courts currently are, your tennis courts
underneath it.
are
Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there.
Well, they're not on this list anyway.
What's that?
They're not on this picture, so they're removed.
Those are,
Yeah,
they're
okay.
on the top of it.
Right.
Because we're going to have something in that area.
Very cool.
Now,
Thank you.
it looks like a plan, and I know there'll be things come up that we may have to relook at, and depending on everything, but, we've got the city and the county and the district all working together on that, and I'm thankful that whoever planned the crosswalk from the Hayes Rec down to Hayes Med, boy, they were thinking way ahead of us that the high school is going to be right there, because that will be a funnel of all the kids that live in all of the addition there north of the high school, you'll have that crosswalk and that big walking path through there, so that will really help too. And like I said, we'll just have to look at where the traffic is and everything. It's got to be better than the middle school traffic right now. When you talk about the high school and the middle school being together, we have Wilson and the middle school together right now, and it works, but it took time for all the parents and the schools and everybody to get that worked out. So we'll see how that goes.
I have a quick question. What's the timeline on that expansion, the widening of 13th Street?
I think we're gonna start this summer, right? We gotta go for it, man. Take over.
Good evening, Colin Belzer,
Hi.
Deputy City Manager. And so the City Commission just approved an engineering contract with MKEC actually to design that. Construction should happen next year.
Cool. Will it close down, I mean, we'll probably work with one lane?
One
and-
lane, I think's the plan. We're just going to do asphalt, so we won't have to shut the whole road down. Also, what's really nice is the multi-use path that you mentioned. It'll actually run along 13th Street out to Commerce now, so it's going to continue along that road.
Great.
So,
Thank you for that.
yeah. I think it's a great partnership. Like you were mentioning, the state, city, school, county are all making this work.
And we may have to look at, I was talking to Ron the other day, I learned so much when the city was having their roundabout discussion and looking at the roundabouts, you had on TV, the little cars that went around every direction of the roundabout, and it helped, but as amazing, and I am pro roundabouts, but I still see there was a policeman sitting in the middle of the roundabout today, and he was waving a little bit at a couple of cars, so it just takes time.
Yeah, the thing is, I will tell you, this kind of looks like something that you could have just drawn up on a napkin in 10 minutes. There was a lot of thought and a lot of studying that went into this. There's a lot of terms that I mean, Colin and I sit on these meetings, and Colin, I don't think he understands any more than I do. It's their own language, it's their own, they think through everything. And so, are people going to gripe? Yeah, absolutely, because we're bringing a lot of people in one area for a short period of time, about an hour. It's going to be a little crazy, but the thing is, a lot of thought's been put into this, and we think we have probably as good a plan as we can put together for what we have. It's still going to be a great thing.
The safety of the middle school students when the high school kids are.
Yeah, we put a lot of thought into
and I appreciate it.
13th Street, having a couple of those raised pedestrian walkways, as well as the area in the parking lots, just trying to keep everyone safe.
Just wish they were as excited to get to school as they are to leave.
Yeah. Well, the other thing we have to talk about is the rec department. That's going to be a whole new element for them with
Right.
having a middle school right across the street.
Over there.
It's going to be a busy place.
Okay, thank you, Ron. We have 7.2 that was moved out of the consent agenda. This is personnel transactions. Before we start, I just want a reminder, we did not have a smooth personnel transaction at the last meeting. Remember, if we're talking about individual personnel, it has to be in executive session. We can talk about policy, but I don't want us to get into where we make a mistake again and talk about individual personnel in a public meeting. That should never have happened.
Do you want to recognize retirements as well?
I do. Can I do that first? We have a couple of retirements, and I have worked with both of these people, outstanding over the years. Janet Gersh is special ed para that worked at several schools, but now at Wilson. And again, the dedication to work for, I think hers was 12 years, something like that. Let me see. 18 years. I want to thank her and Janice Hageman at the middle school. You know, they are the glue that holds the classrooms together. They collaborate with the teachers, the parents, the kids, and our paras are so important to how we are successful with our students. So I want to thank these two for all the time they spent with the district. Okay, Kurt, you had asked to pull this down?
And I appreciate you pulling this out. I pulled it out because I would like to be able to individually vote upon personal transactions in regards to nepotism, if I can say that right, on the personal transactions. And I want to be able to vote for that.
I'm not actually.
I'm not clear of where we're going.
No, I want to be able to pull that out and vote individually, and I want to be able to vote yes or no in regards to personal transaction, in regards to what I feel is nepotism.
But again, as we discussed the last meeting, are we breaking any district policy?
I'm sorry, I'd like to ask a clarifying question if I could. Are you asking to have each person's contract be approved separately?
No, I have issues with family members being hired by,
The district?
by, or working underneath head administrators.
But this was explained in the board docs.
I agree.
So why does it need to be in the public discussion?
I have an issue with it.
Are you making a motion?
No, whenever we vote for it, we vote for it.
Mr. President, may I make the motion to approve the personnel transactions as presented, please?
Seconded.
I have a motion and a second to approve as published the personnel transactions. Any discussion?
I also have concerns about, I don't know if we're following the policy. I think we need to look at that. And
Just a second. What are we not following?
it's clear in there that a personnel should not be supervised. And I don't understand why you're so angry about now.
I'm not angry about it, but
It's a discussion, isn't it, Mr. Bowser?
Yes, Ron did exactly what the policy asked last month and this month. He is following policy. You have,
I'm just talking about, we employed a person, and now it's moving to a family member. Before the employment, it was fine. But now that it's moved to a family member, there's concerns. So I'm going to vote against this on that one situation.
So y'all really wanted a separate agenda item, not, because this is the same discussion we had last month that got out of hand.
I agree. It's the same.
And so you should have asked for something to be put on the agenda. This didn't need to be taken out. This is a different discussion than what you asked taken out.
I made a phone call and I visited with Superintendent over this, yes. But I don't think family members should be
It's
in charge of those in their building.
Family members.
for this to be pulled out of the consent agenda because they have said that they don't approve
Right,
because of this reason, but it is not a part of the discussion. So if that is going to be discussed, then we should not be doing so. They are asking to revisit policy, and this is clearly following policy. And we are being notified of things, and there is no violation here.
I call for the vote, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I will call for the vote. Is there any other people that want to add on the discussion, because I don't want to cut anybody short?
I guess I just would like to share that I think we've got two different conversations happening, and one is about policy, and I guess if we're wanting to change policy, that needs to be added as an agenda item. I'm not suggesting that happens, but if that's indeed where we need to go, we need to discuss the policy itself. So maybe that's something for consideration for a future meeting.
Okay, any other thoughts? Okay, if not, all in favor of personnel transactions, vote yes.
Yes.
Yes. All opposed, vote no.
No.
Personnel transactions are approved 5-2.
4-2.
4-2, excuse me. 4-2. We do not have an executive session, is that correct, Ron?
No.
Do I have a motion for
Motion.
adjournment?
Second.
I have a motion and a second for adjournment. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of adjournment, vote yes.
Yes.
Yes. All opposed, vote no. We are adjourned.
Yes.